Right. Ready to start another week off with Decoding with Dregz here, where we look at some Thor calls, see what's popping up on the queue, throwing it on a couple lines on the chart, and making sense of it all. Probably going to start, uh, actually, I should say, you'll see lines on the chart from previous weeks, more often from last week. And we see how it went and worked through those time frames and how it interacted and the price action went with those. We'll do some more popular coins as the week, or sorry, as the session goes on. But right now, I think we're going to start with some Pyth and just start chatting away. Of course, if you have any questions, be sure to hit me up in the chat. And if you had any preferences on certain coins too, we'll look into those. Yeah, we'll start charting Pyth. Looks like last week, what would be last week here? The 29th. It's a good little marker to have as the 29th. Be right around there. Cool. And it looks like there's a previous invalidation zone for some of these lower longs. Looks like it's going to be interacting with those. If we pump through that, it will most likely erase a lot of these green buy zones that we had set up last week. And to make more sense, we're just going to look at the 1-day chart, which you could see, oh, that's the 58 and 35 would be those invalidations, and then 47. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. So that 41 there. So these are all actually new calls on the lows. So I guess we'll leave that there. You can see that this long is calling for 34.9 to 31. And I think we made that space last week for sure. Or excuse me. Oh, it's 5-6, 6-6 this month. My bad, time flies. So yeah, those have been hanging out for a month now. You can see right here. And it also is a resistance line right next to it too, just below it. So we had that going on in the 64, which was again last month. So we're gonna leave all that there. Um, let's see, the 48. So it may have been already invalidated, or may have already passed and erased some of the ones I was speaking of, but that's okay. Let's see. So it looks like we're meeting that resistance at the 48 on Pyth, and a new one would be 41, and that 41 range here. Yeah, 41.6, 41.4, so that's a little lower. Let's pump this guy up a little bit. Kind of meeting here on that pop there. We have an entry at 34, which is going to be mimicking that 1-day that we spoke about. 48, 49, 56. Let's see, that 48 is interesting to me too, as it is right at that resistance zone. So what Thor's saying is we might see that jump back down to around that 45. So if you short it, that's cool. Perhaps you might see that 49 or 56, as these are newer calls. So this is a newer one that came in. So maybe that 49 is worth acknowledging too. Kind of go past that invalidation, maybe knock out a couple of these lower calls, and then uh, touch that. Maybe the like, little wick up onto that 49 to drop back down to the 45 or 44, which would be a nice buyback or exit for that short. Or um, maybe you want to hang on and try and get to that 41 call. Let's see. 49. So that, yeah, 49 is has that kind of correlation to the 4 hour, which I'd like to see that 4 hour and 1 hour both popping up for that. So I would definitely be looking at that 49 if I was looking to short. And then the 15-minute is filled with 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 there. So it looks like there's a cluster getting called out here. So it looks like we might see just like a lot of price action from the resistance at 49 or 48 and dropping back down into this little range with a low of 41. It's probably on the near or smaller time frame, something that we would see. It's pretty cool. I just have some spot with Pyth, nothing too crazy. Um, Waiting for it to kind of break out. It looks like it might be testing that line actually, so I'll be eager to see if we get some more action pushing past that. It's fun. Let's check out Jupiter. This one was kind of filled with some stuff, and again, we last saw each other on the 29th, so right around this line here. Just see that price action that took place. It looks like we did hit that. Yeah, that's the one that we took a little action on, that 46 marker. I was really kind of waiting for a little lower to go heavier. We never reached that, but it was good to have a little bit of DCA limit orders right around that $1.06 line. And since then, I think we did pretty good. I don't know if that call's still hanging out. Yeah, it looks like it TP'd, most likely. Uh, I would say these, I would be still aware of this, even though it didn't necessarily enter that zone. It could just be another indication of its price movement. So you got the 15 or 16 where it's at. Let's see where it topped up at. It was 18. So yeah, we're almost at that TP3 zone. Um, let's see if there's anything else going on through there. Got 33, 38, 49. So there seems to be a lot of it's a few shorts that are being called. A nice little stack. So yeah, you're gonna meet some resistance, especially when it's repeated on the 4 hour. It's got some walls to get through. And the 33, I got that 32 there. We'll leave that. And the 204, which would be pretty nice. I'm not seeing that 109. Let's see if I see that 109. Nope. So that perhaps was invalidated, but it's okay. We'll bump this guy up a little bit. Hmm. It looks like it's trying to fill in that little cup that went down. We got the RSI meeting right in the middle. So it wouldn't be too weird for it to kind of jump back down to maybe that, let's see, those new long calls. Yeah. You got the 109, 106 again. That'd be interesting. But I think I'd start biting in again around that 109 zone. As these are cool, but the ranges are small, so not much uh, for me to make out of that just yet, and that's okay. Yeah, we're gonna jump to wormhole. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, let's see 29. Yeah, looks like it kind of busted past the short zone here. Sometimes it's nice to leave it as perhaps it's now a resistance, but we're just gonna take that off and clean the board. There's a short at 63. We're on the 15-minute time frame, so we're pretty close to hitting that zone again. 63, 4. We can march up. Oh, nice. It looks like we may have tapped in. Oof, look at that. The perfect little wick. Just smacking that entry. Must have been, yeah, a few hours ago, like 6 or 7. And the TPs are surpassing that short. Um, it could mean that since this is in 1 hour, over a longer time frame, we might be seeing those TPs come through, but you're gonna perhaps hit that resistance in the 15 zone, maybe touching back down to where we are now, and then maybe continuing its way back up. The 75, another, welcome to price that I'd like to see, 75 to 72. So just kind of throw it in between, maybe rest it on some of those wicks. And 75, 72, a repeat of that in the 1 day. And let's see, 52 is the invalidation, which we had left. I think I saw that call earlier. Yeah, okay, that's why, the 530. But something must have been up on the 29th when we set it up too. Anyways, that's a pretty decent range that we got working with, and that 38 is kind of looming. Trying to something to acknowledge. If we did break through that invalidation zone, the 52 cents, we might see some movement down south. But what's is welcoming is that recovery. So sometimes these calls are a little dooming, but if you look at it, it would be a nice play while everyone's freaking out. You're cool, you got Thor, and you'll be making a proper or be prepared for a proper movement to take advantage of that play. Not too much really going on. I feel like we're in between some things here right now. I should probably lower this time frame too, get a little more intricate on that price. Yeah. It does look like we met kinda. I guess it wasn't active, but it almost looks like we hit that. Maybe it's gonna retest, kind of go down here and retest that little shorter time frame short. Nothing too big on that for me. Of course, it's shorting that or selling. But if we had some lower longs that are closer, I'd be into it. But I'm not really getting much from that. So it just looks like this play is most likely the one that's going to be turning out. Yeah. So nothing. A couple shorts hanging out for Python. Actually, this one, yeah, this one did play out. Sorry. I did have this 68-cent short hanging out from last week, and sure enough, it did come in contact with that. Did exceed it a little bit. So if you were high leveraged, you might have been shaken out. But if you did take that short, you can see if it played out pretty decently. And I'm pretty sure that TP was around uh, down here at like the 60, 63, 64. I think that was one move I did try to jump in. I jumped in a little late to it, but I jumped out pretty early too. So I didn't get that full range. I think I was a little bit tired. Didn't want to be overexposed on a short when I'm sleeping. It's just a little fun scalp play. Let's see here. Curious what Render's doing. Just kind of likes to sit back and just kind of go through the Thor calls, see if we're close to anything, if anything's worthy of a play. That's just my favorite thing to do sometimes, just sitting down and getting right to it. Not doing a bunch of TA, but just seeing if there's a move that's pretty close by or something I want to take advantage of. The 15-minute does have that 87. I'm just going to throw this. It looks like we did bust past this. I'm curious how it played out here, though. 29th. Oh, it looks like it did pretty worthy for the 29th. Let's see where we were at. So it looks like it did actually work out. This $10.47 kind of went a couple wicks above, but it did play out and did make some decent moves. So we can just get rid of that. Not really playing too big of a role now. $10.06 is the next buy. Again, it's on the 15 minute, so it's kind of cool to. Yeah, actually, it doesn't have too bad of a range. We got 10. This doesn't have much of a range, but we'll still draw it on. So kind of to me, if I did leave that other line on, it looks like it might be TPing around that previous short around the 1060, which makes sense that the support or sorry resistance turned support. And yep, nothing changed much with those. These are some older ones from last month. A nice high and a low. We see if we zoom out a bit, we see those hanging out there. And the purples are my invalidation lines. So it's kind of, if we zoomed out a bit, you can see how it's a little more range bound or going with that. And that $10.06, when you look at that for the past few, let's say past week, past couple weeks, actually past month, it's been just playing around this line. So that does make sense that 10.06 would be a nice little buy-in again. Hopefully that would hold. If it does break this, probably that $9.80, maybe we would see that $7.40 to 7.60. Again, that would be a pretty awesome play. I would take this one day. I love seeing that big healthy range. Something that I'm always really interested in. Again, let's see what that would turn out for us here. Get right in the middle. Go 10, 20, about 30. Well, it's TP3 would be 36%. Be reasonable at 23% as TP1. So big one I like to look out for is this. The 1 day invalidations are also pretty important to me. What you see is that purple line on top. If we break through that, I'd be looking at that 1258 call. And then this has that low 1 day invalidation there. Yeah, if it breaks that, I don't know. That'd be pretty rough for render there if it did lose that support zone. But let's see. Yeah, we went in a little bit. Now let's get to the good stuff. The ones everyone, a little more popular coins you might be trading on the usual. Solana. What are you doing? Sweet. Did get a nice little pump there. It's a welcoming sight for sure. I guess we'll start with this lower time frame, or actually I should look at what we did on the 29th. Yeah, right around here is where we had our last session. And since then, we could see that there's a invalidation line that I threw up there. What was that from? Probably 1 day. No? Yeah, the 163. Maybe it invalidated something because it did go under it a little bit. So that must have invalidated some other shorts, which is fine. But I'll leave that there for a second. Actually, we're gonna put it down to 60. Yeah, let's pump it down here now. Just kind of mimicking what that 4-hour short's telling me. And a lot of 118s, which I did leave there as well. Let's see. I think that pump erased some. Well, that's 52 still hanging out. The 152 again on the 1 hour. And the 171. So that's going to be a newer one that just popped up today. So let's just throw it up there. 171. Yeah, I can see that. Zoom in a bit. Got the RSI cooking a little bit. We are on the 2-hour time frame. Let's go to 4-hour. It's up there. Nothing too bad. The average is moving up too. The 1 day still got room on the day. So yeah, so maybe what we're seeing here is a nice little retracement down to the 171 zone, going back to where we currently are standing now. 180 is actually the play that I'm looking at maybe the most here right now too. Oh, in the 178, that's there too. I'll just throw it up on the board. So we got that nice little box range. Maybe this zone is a good area to maybe sell a little. If you wanted to catch that swing, it's not the biggest swing down. Always like to see the percents of that. Even if we did hit the 180, and you go back down to TP3 at 7, that's 7%, which is a good one. But let's go back up here because that TP1 is a limit order. So maybe it might be saying to us that it's a good support zone. It is a 15-minute one, so it may not be the strongest, but it's worthy of mentioning that we might get a bounce off of that too. Maybe it jumps up to here depending on the movement, and then we march down to the 171 and then pop up here. Maybe that's a downward movement, or vice versa. Maybe this goes down here a little bit, and then we pump up to the 180. It's just what happens when you're in between those zones. Let's see. Let's go a little larger. All those 200 shorts up here. I'm not seeing the 186 anymore, so we'll just go ahead and bump that off, clean it up a bit. So we do have that nice little range, that invalidation here and that invalidation down here for 183. I think that one, I could pump it to 188. These are always in motion, so things do change, but that's why we recalibrate every week. Okay, that's probably why I put that there, the 183. But I'm going to listen to that longer time frame. That is the 68 call, $68 call. So let's pay attention more to that. As I'm just looking at that chart, it does kind of caress our price movement as it stands now. Had a nice resistance there, and then a nice one up here, and then we kind of went flatlined until we had that pop yesterday. Right. The 152, yeah. I think, hopefully we're seeing some upward movement finally. I think that'd be fun to get out of this little choppy flat line that we've been doing. It's been fun, but I want to say it's been boring, offend anyone, but I think we could use a little bit more volatility. May was kind of a nice little, I won't say flat, but pretty much. I didn't really catch any cool wild plays. Also was moving, so didn't have all my attention. But yeah, for me, and kind of maybe a thesis on what we're looking at here, um, I'd walk probably a little set. If I'm there, might do a little flash trade, market buy on that 171 on the lower time frame here. Maybe catch it up, get a few percents, and scalp that because it makes sense as a retracement up to here. Could slip down. Oops. I would probably. I don't want to set a stop. Yeah, I don't want to go too heavy on it, but I'd like to. I got the feeling that we could touch that and continue up to the 180. It's what I think. I'm not financial advice, but hey, that's what I'm seeing is that 15-minute, a shorter time frame. So I would say if something was going to hit, it may be more likely to hit. It's a new call on a shorter time frame, so it's got that fresh signal, that fresh data that's saying, hey, this could happen, and in this movement, it seems fitting. Maybe a one to a third retest on that lower time frame, and that third rejection would maybe signal an upward movement, and then we could catch some shorts. Or it could bust through and go higher, but realistically, we could see that kind of hitting up there and then maybe getting that higher low. I mean, retrace back down to here on the TP1. Be interesting. BTC's cooking. If you want to jump to that, what we got. I didn't have too many. Let's go to the 29th, right around here. This line is where we had some short calls. Looks like it did go past that 170. That was a 1 day call. It tapped it once. We went down to 68. That wasn't a TP, and then we just went right past it. Now, I think we had that, yeah. So it looks to be this was there around the same time. So these calls were made at the same day. I personally, between this lower red line and this upper red line, to me that's kind of like the box. When I get those two calls on the same day, it's like they both popped up at the same time. Jupiter had something where it had two longs that were at the same time, but it only kind of touched the upper quartile, upper section of it. So you might miss it, but sometimes when I hit those higher entries, I'd rather miss something. Sorry. I'd rather miss something and have it hit on a better play, or maybe I could get a wider range. Especially sometimes if I'm upping the risk, I really want to make a good move out of it. You'll see me kind of sticking to the upper regions of some things just to play it safe. Because I mean, as we did see here, if you're doing the lowest entries, like the 69, you did. If you shorted, I mean, if you're DCing out for a better entry, cool. You're not really sweating too much. But the 69.3, if you try to short there, you're only out 3% to 2%. This invalidation line was there for some of these 1 day very low calls we were looking at. G's, right? It's 117K, 33K, 44K. Well, they all have that invalidation of that 172. And that's why I really like to throw those lines up. It looks like we didn't quite get there, which could reinforce this 1 day call if it doesn't meet that. But that's why we kind of zoom in and check out some lower time frame calls that were recently made. And today we got the 68K. Let's do that. It also kind of has that very similar. So 71.7. Yeah. So it's touching on these wicks here. So we need to bust past these wicks to kind of invalidate this one here. But I think the bigger one, the bigger resistance we'll meet is through this zone, which is kind of obvious now. We kind of got that double top forming. That last wick is where this line is hanging. Yeah, sometimes that's why I like to go through the larger time frames and then descend. Not always will you have calls hanging out, but it's wonderful when you do see those. Let's see. Interesting right there. Just checking these out. 175. Yeah, 70.58. Let me just take off this guy here. No, excuse me. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, just hanging out, sitting on top of these. Not a bad little resistance move. Hitting that 70.5, jumping back up to 71. Might be a lower high if it does that. Kind of bouncing down there, retracing to right around this region we're hanging out in. But we have another short call right up to 72.3. Yeah, they're both hugging each other pretty close. And it would send us down to right where we are now. So hopefully we play around here in a bit. I mean, if Bitcoin wants to hang out above 70K, that would be welcomed. Hmm. It's like, how do we play that? Hmm. I think the bullish case really, really, really kicks in once we break this invalidation line. Breaking 72 will definitely make some of these going in. But when we break that, it makes me sometimes question maybe that 15-minute short, because that would be a pretty decent bullish case. And other people would probably be very, very into that as well. So I don't know if I'd take this play, that 15-minute. I would still be hanging out for this one day. I mean, we've been waiting for so long. What's a little more time? Especially when you catch that, if you were to catch that play. It's right around there. Go down to the first TP. Would be 70. It would take a little bit of time to play out, but if it did jump up here, we get a right around there. Be an 8% move. Scoop up more for that journey up. Because if we do break that, invalidation, we get rid of all these there too. So that's why it's really, again, I always repeat it, but those invalidation lines definitely are telling me which way the wind's going. It's a great indication when we have a lot of Thor calls, and then we get to erase some because we've pumped past a very big support or resistance. And that's usually what I'm seeing these invalidation lines doing. So yeah, for my case, I might sell a bit. I'm gonna hang out more till that 74 or 73, jump back in. Maybe not. It's always good to hang out, you know. I've always sometimes jumped ship a little early, but what I like to do sometimes is maybe if I were to short or sell, I might buy back at the um, a limit order. I mean, a long right around here. So if it does do that, this call goes away. But um, sometimes this might turn into a resistance as well, or sorry, support if we did get up there too. Just depends on, let's see how bullish people are in that case. But sweeping up there and kind of rescending back down here would give it a little nice little breather, especially since we're kind of cooking on that RSI again. Yeah, on the 4 hour it's high. And the one day we still got some more room. So, you know, when you're looking at this one day chart, it's always good to zoom out and see what's going on. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would touch that other one, which would be a double up and going down. Let's see, not bad, but yeah, I don't use too many indicators, especially with Thor. Really makes it easy for me. It streamlines the process. But this RSI does tell me we do have a little bit more room, especially seeing how this likes to pump past. I mean, we could blow past it, but um, that to me looks like enough room to maybe bust past this invalidation at least. And then when it does that, we can reconfigure our case, which I always like to see there. Yeah, I could go to ETH or something else, but if anyone has any coins they're looking at, it's kind of a good time to see what you guys want to look into. I mean, we got 33 coins here chilling. We could look into the calls. I think every single one of them has a call waiting. So if you'd like, just shout it out and we could take a look. If you personally are trading something and want to see what Thor's got to say about it. If not, it's all good. So I always like to check the chat. Cool. Let's see what let's see if Bonk has anything fun. Oh, nothing but a 15-minute call on Bonk. And like always, I just like to pump it up, pop it up here, see the little price range, see if it's worthy for me. Enter at 32, exit at 33, almost 34. Nice little 5% play. Nice volatility, but hey, at least you know if you're trying to get back in the bonk, you can wait a second more and get a little better entry there. Something pretty fun. There's a 15 minute, so something again if I'm just scanning around and I'm itching for a play. Sometimes these are fun to really kind of put on my alerts. If I'm in that mood to scalp and be really attentive to a trade, that's when the 15 minutes really uh, get my attention. Sometimes if I'm a little busy, I'm not going to be available. I'm just going to skip past it, ignore it. But a lot of times they do come through. Ethereum, I guess we could talk about Ethereum. It's worthy enough. Let's see. Oh, we're in the 1 day, sorry. So the 29th is right around here. It's been flat, didn't hit any of our stuff. It's kind of been boring for me to trade and haven't seen much calls for it. Nothing really going on. Looks like a short did hit. Oh, nice. 388. Yeah, so we're right around there. Right around where that right around the entry. But you do have a lot of other shorts really close by. So it makes me curious to which direction we might be going. Apparently I haven't gotten back to this since, what is this, 29th? Yeah, we could probably get rid of these short calls. They're probably more to this zone here where they were activated. Got that 1 day at 4,300. Keeping that ready. That 1 hour, the 37. Oh, that's a new one. Yeah, 37.6. Let's get into that. 376. Again, like I was saying for the 15 minutes, having that 1 hour available too. It's a short enough time frame. If we're there, it just has a little more backbone than the 15s. Just meaning that those moves might take a little longer, but they're also more have more confluence to them. This call seems to be retracing us back up to here. So it's a nice little, I don't know, I want to say just that it makes sense as a move to just kind of have that big like little green bar there to come back and fill that up again if our movement's been pretty flat. So it's just kind of saying we're still in that range, nothing has broken out yet. Even if we do kind of push back, we still are met with another one that is a new call too at 39, short at 39 to right where that wick is there over here. So for me, yes, there is an active call at 38.8, right around here. So, I mean, if you wanted to play this, oh, and the 49, oof. Sorry, it looks like we just have a couple going on. And I've just bumped this up just a little bit more than two. Because sometimes I do like to just combine those calls, or, we could always make a little box for it to have a range or a zone. where we want to make a move. Um, the 4,002. I just don't. If we bust past everything, yeah, then that's going to be a decent move. But I guess this is where we pull out our invalidation lines again too. Let's see if we have no longs to utilize 387. So it looks like this long invalidation right here, an invalidation for this long on the 1 hour is where this short is hanging out. So that's something to watch. When they line up like that, it's kind of saying it almost gives more. Um, I would say strength. Yeah, let's just say strength. It gives it more backbone into this short here too that it might play out. Though it gives importance to it if we bust through that too. Then we start listening to some of these other ones that are going on. It's a little step ladder too. So this cluster, the 1, 2, 3, makes sense. This box should be basically one box in my eyes. And then maybe a more bullish case there, but that was made on, they're all made near the same day besides this one. So this call was made earlier, and then about 6 days later, this call pops up. 6 to 5 days later, it almost gives again more strength to this, as two different calls were made at two separate times in that same zone. This one kind of reinforces that maybe movement. I don't think let's see if this is actually played out at all, where this is hit. This hasn't fully played out. It hasn't hit a TP yet. And that TP, yeah, let's see, the TP3 would put us just above this. So I'd like to pump that up a little bit more too. And then, yeah, that would make sense as it's dancing on these lines here too. And it depends on which, what is it, what decks you're using. Some order books could be a little rough and front running you, so the reality and practicality of it is kind of important to not front run everything, but maybe buy in a little bit. Buy in a little bit at a time, chip in, get something in the game to see if it works, and then when you go lower and you actually hit some more entries, you could always get that little better entry. Or if it zooms back up, hey, at least you have some skin in the game. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing for ETH. That's what Thor's seeing for ETH. Um, yeah, no, it's touched that. I mean, geez, just touched that wick perfectly that we had hanging out there. But I'd say this box zone always. I don't want to see what we got. Yeah, it's okay. I was gonna make a little box, but I'm not too worried about that. Just imagine a nice little box in here. Let's see. That would be my sell zone there, but we did touch that, so interesting. And the RSI kind of is cool, but let's zoom out. Oof, the 1 day is cooking. And the 1 hour still's got some more room. So yeah, hey, we might retest that entry. So I keep an eye out if you wanted to make a play here. This is something that I'd also put on my map too. Like if I'm sitting down currently ready to make some trades, this is definitely on my radar to maybe make a little scalp play on that. But I do have to realize, you know, again with like liquidation points and all that, if you're trying to go hard, depending on your size or whatever, if you do put a lot of leverage in there, just make sure your liquidation is higher than some of these guys, like this zone here. Because there is a chance we hit that. It would just really suck to tap that point right up there and then make it right back down to where we were. Though this does have an interesting play of hitting this. If we did surpass this uh, short line, we'd hit here, but then meet resistance at 83. Yeah, so right around where this line is, I guess 83. Oh, I guess it's down a little bit more. Not exactly. Let's see. Yeah. sometimes that works out that way. But yeah, it looks like it would be a little higher low for that. But it is the 1 hour, so I wouldn't put all my eggs into one basket just because it is a lower time frame call. Let's see. Of course, if anyone wants to check out some other ones now, let me know and we can go through it. But I'll just keep it trucking along. Let's go check out Arboretum. This is a play that I'm currently in. I'm taking start with the 1 day. I entered here, right in between. I'd say it was like 99 cents is where I was able to take my buy-in. So let's do this here. Take it to the 1 day. Yeah, pretty much where that green line is hanging out. I think I went a little above it, but hey, whatever. So we're doing pretty good. That was a nice short that had happened at the $1.20, and it popped up again. So this was a previous call from a couple weeks ago, and we're seeing, the 1 hour, we're seeing 116, we're seeing 123 on the 4, 27, and 52, and I believe this was actually a newer one too. So this kind of reinstates the fact that we might revisit a dollar or 99 cents. Cool. But I have a feeling with how this is moving and the markets are going that we might see the 20, like the $1.23 or that 1 hour. Let's see what's on 15. Yeah, it's on the 15 too. We might see that $1.16 play out, jumping back down to where we are currently. So I'll just do the 116. Yeah, a little lower here. Nice. Do that. So I have a couple layers on a lower time frame, and that 20 I'm gonna pump up a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna edit that because that was just a previous one. Push that up to 23 cents. So since I do have skin in this game here, um, I might, let's see, how would I quantify this? So if we got around 99 cents, we're at a 16, oh, currently at a 13% gain. Up there would be 24%, which is nice. I could chip off a little bit, starting to sell my bag. I would not short it. I may do 25% here of my bag and 25% here. Why I wouldn't sell it all is because I am really looking at this, that $1.50. That is because that's TP1 here. You got TP2 at 72 cents, $1.72, and $1.88 as TP3. That's just about 72% and 88% in a play. So kind of worthy for me to hang out and see what's good, especially since we could fill this cup. Just fill what we had occurred in early April, that little dip here. I could see that filling up, especially since we are like 50% down from those larger time frame. Yeah, we're literally 50% down from the larger time frame. 50% like right in the middle for the RSI on the 1 day. Yeah, I think we could get some more movement up. So I don't want to miss out totally if I were to shave off here, and then miss that upward movement when if we spike up. But why would I shave a little bit? Even if it did the 27, cool. Oops, whatever, because their TPs are clustered together. So I see 18, 16, 14, 17, 15, 13. They're in this zone, right? They're hanging out right through here where we are. So if we did 27, it'd go right down here. If it did 23, we'd also be going here. So my goal would be to swing up and catch a little bit more. Maybe fill the bag because that's a 10% dip. And like I didn't make a move when it was that last one at like 20 cents and then we went down to 7 cents. I could have, bought back more, maybe taken out a bit, use the profits for something else, another trade, rather than just sitting waiting all super long. Even though patience is really nice and key, but I do if I can like to hit these swings and not be too lazy or too patient. I do like to catch those plays and make it happen because these movements look like they would be hitting again. Or, hell, if it did do the 23 and went back to $1, I'll load it back up right there. Have more dry powder to make that round again. Though it is TPing on a 4 hour at 10 cents if we were to go there. So it'd be a lower high, which kind of defeats some of the bullish case, but good to, let's see, no, nothing would really knock that out. But yeah, let's see, that invalidation line there is kind of important. That 107.07. I think because I saw it, yeah, I saw it here. There's a new call today at $1.08 and $1.07. So let's see, yeah, right there. So you can have some buy zones at $1.07, 98, 92, and some sell points at 16 cents, 23, 23, 27, and then I'll just mark the 27. Ah, that makes sense. Be a nice little double top there, which would kind of start getting in the way of this $1.50 move. But if we were to hit that zone, just be the kind of a little double top or filling. If we do this, maybe filling this little cup here, this little, what's the little guy here in the smaller time frame. We still have more room, but I could see that kind of range playing through even the 7 cents and 16-cent zone. So for me, yeah, it kind of makes sense to maybe shave off a little here, and then try to catch that $1.07. And just trade off there because even in that little gap, it is, you could get 7% more for your money by doing that. Those little plays do add up through time. It's not like a 10x or 5x immediately, but damn, if you're able to do that and do it proficiently, you're gonna like the way your bags look, especially when you have a tool like this. Let's see, this is invalid at $1.10. So with that, again, on these lower time frames, and if we're focused on, zoom it in. If we are focused on something like this, then going under $1.10 tells me to really get ready for that 8 cent and 7 cent buy, as the 16 cent will be gone. So that would be a good call. Short call will be gone at that point. And then the $1.07 is important for the 20 cent short calls. So this is why I'd probably buy here instead of 8 cents, is because this looks like a stronger support because it is the invalidation for short calls. So by doing that, I can see that there's two invalidations I should be paying attention to for my bigger bag. And if it were to go away like that, then we do something different. But I have the patience. This call was made in late March, so hell, it takes time, but usually worthy too. Because I sure do love those 1 day calls. Just gonna take a look at what's going on. Yep, no. If anyone, again, I always like to rain through. If anyone had any little questions on that, questions or any coins you want to look at. Let's see. Been getting into whiff more a little bit and see what we got. I again, a guy maybe got bored because things were a little straight line. So I like to look for these coins with a little bit more volatility without going full meme. um, let's see what's up with. Let's see what we got. Let's start with a longer time frame. $2.60. Throws us all the way down here. with 4 hour long at $2.60 with a low at 251. We'll just draw another line. And I'd like to make these lines because I could just simply input these as limit orders, set it and forget it. Um, Maybe have an alert ring when it goes off. A call was just made today. Those 4 hours might take a little bit to play out. It has an invalidation at 361. Let's go to the 1 hour. We got 91 cents. Yeah, these are all recently made besides the 91 cents. And that 329. What we got? Yeah, 329 there too. Looks like a few, even these 1 hours are looking at the 361 invalidation support. I'll just leave it as 361. This says 365, but yeah. And on the 15-minute, zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, all pretty. Yeah, these are all today. So let's make sense of some of these. Yeah, 361. Oof, that 15-minute has a short call at this invalidation line. Pretty cool. Interesting. 653. Not the largest range on that, so I probably wouldn't take this one. I'd be looking at this just because the confluence of those longs having that resistance here makes it that there's a little more eyes on this line to hit rather than this 53. So if I try to short here, I could have maybe had a better entry at that 361. The longs, let's see what we got. 319. 329 right there, and 332. And when they're that close, like that, I I'm not really caring too much about this guy just because of how proximal their range is, and I'm just showing you what I do. If I miss that trade, whatever, we have this zone here and that zone there, and we had other coins available. So if that entry doesn't hit, I use that capital for one that is closer, one that is going to hit in one of the zones that I would like. Um, this one doesn't hit, then let's go to the other one. Ethereum, maybe that short hits. Maybe the Arboretum one goes through and I can rotate that capital. I'm not. I'm just opening myself to more opportunity, but not putting all my eggs in one basket just because Thor has a call there. But when they're proximal like this, I'd much rather make that entry than that one. Now, what would I actually do? I would maybe play around with that short at that 361. Kind of ignoring this, but I do want to acknowledge it just so we can see how the price action plays in correlation to the Thor calls. But, let's see. Let's back it up. We're in 1 hour. Let's move it to 1 day. Let's see how these lines look with the chart. And then we can kind of see maybe some more correlating movement. Yeah, these clusters down here definitely get me more excited. But how close are we? 23, 26%. Not entirely convinced. Let's see. Yeah, it's got that zone. Hmm. It does usually have some nice volatility, but I probably wouldn't take part in these longs up here. I'm probably more of a buyer to chip in a little here and maybe go more hard there, as they are 4 hours. But it might take a little more time. They are 4 hour calls. WIF is volatile, so sometimes those 4 hours come a lot quicker than maybe Ethereum's or BTC's or Solana's. pretty rad. Sweet. Yeah, we looked at a few today here. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave these up. If anyone wants maybe to look at one more, shout it out. If not, no worries. Let's see. I haven't looked at Matic in a while. Let's see if it has anything. Yeah, I'm not really into that. You know, I used to like trading this one a bit. Let's see what I just haven't. Yeah, let's look at no INJ. Yeah, it's been quite some time, so let's see how these. This must have been a couple months ago when I drew these lines too. So, oh, okay, a 1 day call, but not a fat range. And it's mimicked by a 4 hour. And oh, yeah, so 516. Yeah, so these aren't totally new. Yes, on the 4 hour and 1 day, those are a little more fresh. 20.5, yeah, we'll leave that there, and we got the 22. Let's get rid of this guy. Actually, it's funny. Eh, pretty sure that invalidation was an older one, but still still relevant with this 1 day that we have on now. 15-minute this longer here. So this is kind of little range bound or little kind of locked in here. 26.29. Yeah, I mean, kind of resting on these wicks right through here and here. Hmm. And then what was that? TP. Yeah, so the TP for this 1 day is right around the longs. Still a decent play. I mean, if it's a 1 day, it's telling me that, and we're only 4% away. I might be interested in something like that. What's this 15-minute TP? It's very small. It's decent, but when they're, I'm not too interested in it when they're only a couple percents, like 2%. It's cool, but there's just other plays that my capital could be probably going towards rather than a smaller play like that. Maybe they're really good if you already do have a larger bag and you want to see maybe a good point to TP at sometimes, or like shed off some of the bag to give you more dry powder for some of these lower calls. That totally makes sense. And maybe we start listening to that 1 day a little bit more once it passes this. So just by looking at this is my indication. Breaking that purple line means we're probably marching on to this 1 day to bring us back down to where we are now. This could be fun. Maybe it could be a nice little indirect long call too when you do something like that. 3%. Not the craziest move, but still move all the same. Right on. I see here. Cool. Well, I think that might bring us to a nice little stopping point. We did run through quite a bit of calls today. Unless anyone had some DeFi questions or some kind of maybe not Thor related to chat about. Much lately, but always down to explore some of those things. But closing ceremony, let's let's look at what Kira's doing. Wants to load. Oh yeah, sweet, sweet Kira. Oof. She's leaking down a little bit. A lot of those maybe what we call noodle hands dropping her down, but meeting a nice little resistance line here. Definitely a solid buyback if you're interested in Kira. I'd say that yeah, sub 7. We'll see if it gets there again, but I'm definitely a big buyer at 6 cents. Already got a decent bag, but hey, I'll load up some more if we get there. So, if you're not in it at all, like if you had no exposure to it, I would definitely say 7 cents. I could see that happening or starting to inch in through here. It's definitely a speculative coin at the moment. Nothing too much. What do you want to call it? AI and art coin, but hey, I think we have a lot more to see from Kira here. It kind of, if I made a trend line, you could see it probably busted through some of that by coming up here. Let's see if it can continue that little bullish movement. Because when it does move, she moves. And I think yeah, we might be in for something through the next month. Um, but this is definitely one we have to be patient with. Oh, sweet Kira. Definitely been having some fun, I'll say on the side. Messing with some other coins, uh, putting some more meme coins in, making little pools with those, just high volume, just so we can see and capture some volume in that way with getting exposure and fees in Kira. So basically, I try to see something that might be pumping up, and I make a little pool with it. Let's say this last one, I think is doing pretty decently. Let's see how it is. Could have, yeah. I know it doesn't look so hot on that chart, but for me, it's okay. A chart like this looks, I'd say, a little messed up, but this is Akira mother, right? This is these two. I like that because the mother. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Dang, was descending a little bit. I do have a pool. I think its low is around 53 cents. So that's a DLM ends right around here, and around 50. I think I just say 50. And I think yeah, you can see where it started. And as it goes down, the pool gets more Kira. That's okay with me. Let's see if we're gonna duplicate this here and then pull up this one. All right. So I think we started this pool around Yeah, when it was 92 cents. So as Kira starts to go up, or sorry, as this coin started moving upwards, the price per Kira, it sells that coin, it sells Mother, well, Kira for Mother, but for me, the red actually means I'm gaining Kira. For the pool's sake, it means that people are selling Kira for this coin. I make fees in Kira. Great. I'm bullish on Kira. So if I could generate these fees, cool. And it doesn't look hot, right? You know, it looks like it's going down. We're starting to smooth move our way down there. Maybe even breaking my pool. But guess what? That's okay. If the pool does break down, I'll be all Kira and no more of that mother coin. But what's happening is the higher this coin goes, the more it is worth, and the more Kira it is able to buy. Plus, going up and down in volatility, it's making fees up and down. I feel like this is kind of hit a double top, so I did, got a 20% movement up. So in a way, even if the pool goes out of range, this is the kind of the better case scenario for me. If Mother, this coin, were to shoot down, this pair would be green going up. That means kind of, worse for me, right? Because I like Kira and I'm not trying to sell it off for this like a coin that's dying. But when we go up, 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 that means I'll only be left with that mother coin and zero Kira. Not the best case for me. But because I'm so bullish on Kira, it's okay that I'm getting more for that. I'd rather it stay in the range, churning fees, but I think even if this goes down south and I leave the range, it is still the best case scenario. So it is fun to mess with these and capture some volume. It's captured in 24 hours, 3.8 on, you know, 1.7. So that's, almost, what's that, a couple like 3 to 4% um, in those gains. And then you get some more Kira as the other coin moved up 20%. Let's see, it's been 24 hours already. So yeah, 25%. So you're able to do little things like this. It might not make a lot of sense, but that's why it's good to um, have a bunch of charts open, seeing how the movements and how they move and correlate with each other. So now I'm banking. What's best case for me is obviously, it going down a little bit. Or alternatively, if Kira goes up in price, then this will still go up too. Now, it's because Kira descended. Let's duplicate this and look at Kira, the other Kira chart. So, yeah, Kira had dropped 5%. Mother went up 25%. So that's a 30% move in price value. Let's see if the chart, if my math is adding up here. That's where it started. Yeah, look at that. 30%, right? So, just about, because 25 plus here, and this has been open for about a day. 25 up, about 5% and change down. So if this goes up more, if that were to go up by 5%, this pool would move up by about 5%. And we go back around here. And that's kind of how you can watch pairs and move. It's best if they were to correspond and correlate their movements. Like if Kira were to move up 25% with it, it would be flat. Of course, it wouldn't churn much volatility or fees because you get more fees in the up down them moving without each other. That's fine. But in my case, I did make a really big pool that had allowed for a differentiation of about 50%. Well, I guess 40%. So right now I have a little room left until this pool breaks. I got about another 20%, which is fine. So hopefully Kira met a low, kind of pops back up, gives me more juice. So if this were to go up another 20%, whatever. But I would like Kira to go up another 10%, so this could go up another 10%. And the pool's still active, still churning fees, going up and down in volatility, and I'll collect both Mother and Kira as fees in that pool. So that's like a little pool boy talk for the day, especially with more two volatile pairs in a DLMM pool. Yeah, that's good times there. But yeah, I think that's all for today. Of course, thanks for coming by and checking out the session, talking Thor, and we'll see you next week. And feel free in the chat too to ask which times work best for you. I know sometimes the EU can't make it; it's a little later in the night, and sometimes people are a little busy at night too. So we're just still trying to find a good time that you guys all want to come by and be able to listen to it too. But I might be thinking about doing some morning ones, perhaps catching some of the EU folks when the Discord's a little more popping. But hell yeah. Anyways, much love and see you next week.